trapped in time. Since 2004, Peppa Pig has been broadcast all over the world. In other words, that means more than 20 years of the Pig family entertaining kids and adults. However, if you stop for a second and think about it, even after more than 2 full decades of the show, we've only ever seen Peppa, George, and their friends celebrate a birthday once. Okay, you may think if each episode represents one day, then that makes sense. Yes, we agree with you. But if that were the case, why are there no less than 7 Christmas episodes in Peppa Pig? Is the town of the world's most famous pink pig really so special that Santa Claus visits several times a year? While in my town, he didn't come even once. All of this is extremely strange and ended up creating a bizarre theory that Peppa's world is actually a parallel dimension where neither she nor her friends realize they are stuck in time, completely unaware that everything is just a dark joke crafted by someone or something capable of controlling time and space in that reality. In fact, a TikTok creator named @TellRexSki made a webcomic exploring exactly that theory, which ends up being discovered by none other than Edmund Elephant, the smartest character in the series. After Edmund wakes up to the fact that he never gets older, other characters such as Daddy Pig, Pedro Pony, Danny Dog, and eventually Peppa herself realize on their own that they've been celebrating Christmas for the umpteenth time, and none of them have aged a single day. They then form a group that meets in secret until they discover who's behind everything, the supreme evil entity that rules Peppa's world. The webcomic hasn't revealed it yet, but we believe it must be the Shadow Miss Rabbit, who commands all the other Miss Rabbits, because there are several of them around the world. Without a doubt, this is something completely sinister that still hasn't been explained and probably never will be. So it's clear that even though Peppa Pig is considered one of the most beloved animated shows of all time, it's also one of the cartoons with the highest number of creepy theories involving its characters and episodes. Knowing that, do you think you know the most frightening and macabre theories from the world of the Pink Little Pig? Join us and get your mind blown in this video.
Oh my god!
Leo Lion the Ghost. Now let's move on to another theory that will simply make your hair stand on end. Or in the case of the Peppa Pig characters, your fur. In Season 2 of the show, released between 2006 and 2007, in episode 37, Susie goes to Peppa's house and introduces her to her friend, Leo Lion. But the truth is that this friend doesn't exist at all, because he's 100% imaginary. There's a popular belief that imaginary friends are actually ghosts of children who died tragically and are still stuck in our world in some way. Even though Peppa looks completely confused, she simply plays along with her best friend, or should we say supposed friend, and both girls interact with little Leo Lion, even jumping in muddy puddles with him. In this episode, we find out that the supposed imaginary friend of the little sheep has a gorgeous golden mane and wears green clothes, and he even roars when he's happy or upset. But the truth is that real-life lion cubs don't have manes, since those only grow when they are older, and they also don't roar because they physically can't yet. So logically, the same thing should happen in Peppa's world, right? Actually, no. We discovered this many years later in the episode Lorenzo Lion, released 17 years later in 2023, when we meet the newest friend of the Pink Little Pig, who is the son of Mr. Lion, the zookeeper. And guess what? Even though he's a cub, he roars, has a beautiful brown mane, and wears green clothes, exactly the same characteristics as the imaginary friend Susie and Peppa met years earlier. So how can we explain this macabre coincidence between Leo Lion and Lorenzo Lion? It makes us wonder, if Leo Lion is a ghost, how can Lorenzo Lion be alive? Could they be the same person? Or did Susie meet the little green-clothed lion before Peppa and create the imaginary friend based on him? The truth is that the answer to all these questions is much more terrifying than you can imagine. There's another interesting detail about this character that helps us understand things better. Lorenzo Lion lives in 2 different homes because his parents are divorced. The reason behind their separation is not explained in the show, which leads us to theorize, what if the reason for this separation is the fact that the couple originally had 2 identical twin sons and named one Lorenzo and the other Leo, who would have the same appearance and even wear the same color clothes. And at some point in life, Leo may have become sick and unfortunately passed away, becoming a child ghost wandering the world until he met a little sheep who is the only one capable of seeing and hearing him. Susie Sheep herself, because they were never able to overcome the loss of their other child, the parents found it best to live in separate houses. I don't know about you, but in a creepy way this makes total sense to me. What about you? Here's a little tip for you. Click the subscribe button down below. That way it'll be much harder for you to miss any of our upcoming videos. The name curse. Another extremely intriguing thing in the world of Peppa Pig, which you'll probably agree with, is the fact that, with very rare exceptions, none of the moms and dads in the show say their own names. Unlike the kids, who call each other by their first names as usual, we don't see adults doing the same. They don't say their own names or each other's names, which is already extremely suspicious. Do husbands and wives not even know the names of the people they married? Or do close friends not know the real names of people they've known for years? The answer may lie in something much darker than it seems. Maybe there is a curse preventing adults from saying their own names out loud, even if they know their names or the names of the people they live with. Strangely enough, this doesn't apply to the children, reinforcing the theory that this curse was cast and is maintained by someone who never became an adult, despite having a very developed mind. And there is only one character who fits all these requirements: Edmund Elephant. Even though he's only 3 to 4 years old, he's smarter than all the adults, knowing things no one else knows. It's perfectly possible that Edmund is a normal child whose body was taken over by an evil entity with magical powers that loves childhood above anything else. Between us, you may not like this theory, but it makes sense. Elderly Peppa, still in the realm of magical theories and deeply connected to several other theories we've already mentioned here, there's one possibility that made me lose sleep a few nights ago. As we said earlier, Peppa's world seems to be stuck in a time loop where no one realizes that the years never pass. But have you ever stopped to think that this completely fantastical world, where no one ever ages, could actually be the product of the mind of someone who once lived incredible moments, but is now just an elderly woman in a wheelchair living in a retirement home? Well, as sad as it sounds, that's exactly what the theory claims. Everything we've seen over more than 300 episodes of Peppa Pig is nothing more than memories, some heavily exaggerated, of an elderly Peppa who no longer finds joy in life and spends her days reminiscing and fantasizing about moments from her happy past, surrounded by relatives who have already passed away, like her grandparents and parents, and friends she no longer sees. At this stage in life, many have already left, and those still alive no longer remember anything or anyone. And because she's the only elderly woman who still has her memories intact, Peppa kindly tells stories from the past, sometimes inventing new ones, to her friends in the retirement home, making both her days and theirs more fun and less lonely. Seriously, when I heard this theory, my eyes filled with tears. Poor Peppa and the lonely elderly folks. Where are the moms? We already talked about the possibility that the moms and dads of Peppa's world might be under a curse preventing them from saying each other's names. However, if we analyze the motherhood aspect in Peppa Pig, we'll notice a mysterious absence of some mothers of important characters, women who never appeared and whose absence was never explained to fans. A few examples of missing mothers would include, for instance, Granny Rabbit. We know that Grandpa Rabbit exists, and we know Miss Rabbit and Mrs. Rabbit exist. They are both daughters of Grandpa Rabbit. We also know that several other Miss Rabbits exist all over the world, such as Miss Lupin in France. And Lupin means rabbit in the amazing country of the Eiffel Tower, which means her name is also Miss Rabbit.
I didn't know you had a job here, Miss Rabbit.
I am not this Miss Rabbit. I am Mademoiselle Lapin.
And we also have the multiple Miss Rabbits across the United States, from New York to Texas and Hollywood. In fact, when they meet the Miss Rabbit from Texas, we see something interesting. The new character says that they, the Miss Rabbits, are many, which makes sense because rabbits usually have many babies. But to have babies, there must be a mother, right? And that's exactly the mystery. Where is the Supreme Rabbit Mother who gave birth to all these Miss Rabbits spread across the world taking normal people's jobs? This question remains unanswered to this day, just like the whereabouts of Daddy Pig's mother, which leads to an even darker and more twisted theory that we can't discuss in this video. If you want us to talk about the theory of who Peppa and George's paternal grandmother really is in another Sinister Theories video, comment part 2 below. Where are the dads? If on one hand we have missing mothers, we also can't ignore the fact that there are fathers who never appeared in the show. The strangest thing is that, in a bizarre coincidence, this absence of male characters is concentrated mostly in one household, Susie Sheep's family. That's because we've never seen Susie's father, who would presumably have been married to Mommy Sheep, nor Susie's grandfather, who would theoretically be Granny Sheep's husband. And as you learned, or will one day learn in a good school, to have children, you need a male and a female of each species. So knowing this, where on earth did the men of the Sheep family go? There's another theory that explains how science might be behind this, but we won't have time to explain it in this video. But you can comment part 2 again, so we know you want more sinister Peppa Pig theories. Still on the topic of missing fathers and male characters in Peppa's world, another character we know existed but disappeared without a trace is Madame Gazelle's husband. We know he lived at some point in Peppa's timeline because the kid's teacher has a photo of her beloved on the wall. However, he has never been seen and his name has never been mentioned. So we can say his whereabouts are a total mystery. And he could very well still be alive, maybe even living in Madame Gazelle's attic as her prisoner, since we know she's a vampire. You didn't know Madame Gazelle is a vampire. If you want to know more about that, you already know what to do. Comment part 2 below. We're wrapping up this video, but if you love having your mind blown, this is the place to be. That's why we picked 2 great videos for you to click, watch, and, best of all, keep hanging out with us.